I'm rolling. So today is the 20th of March 2018.
Right.
And we're in Miami, Florida, at the home of Mordechai Maya, correct?
Right.
Before we start this interview, I would like you to tell me when you were born and where you were born and where your family came from.
I was born in Cuba, January 12, 1929. My parents came from Turkey in the 20s, and I grew up in Cuba. And
what do you know about your parents' background in Turkey? Where are they from?
What I know, in the First World War, my father was a soldier in the army, in Turkish army, and he was about 4 years in the war. He came back to Istanbul and rejoined my mother and my brothers, my sisters. Then in time, they tried to come to the United States, but the quota was closed. They had to go back to Cuba, and they stood there for.
So your father actually fought in the First World War.
Yeah.
In the Ottoman army.
In the Turkish army.
In the Turkish army. Do you ever hear any stories of what he did or where he was?
Yeah,
or?
He was wounded in the leg, and he stood in the hospital for a year before coming back to home.
And where were your parents from in Turkey? Where were they from in Turkey? Where did they come from in Turkey?
Istanbul.
Istanbul. So they're probably descendants of the Spanish Inquisition.
The Spanish from the Inquisition in Spain.
And the last name of your father's family?
Maya.
Maya. And your mother's maiden name? Do you remember?
Bihar.
Behar.
Behar or
Yeah.
Bihar?
Or Bihar. Very famous.
With an H or with a J?
With a CH. Behar.
Bihar, yeah.
Behar, yeah. So Behar is your mother's maiden name?
Yeah.
And your name, Maya.
Maya.
Maya. And family is from, your parents are from Istanbul. They were born in Istanbul. Now they left Turkey in 1920, you said?
In the 20s, yeah.
In the 20s. And they tried to get to the United States. But,
And they couldn't come in because the quota was closed. And
isolation. It was the time of isolation after the First World War.
So they had to go to Cuba.
They had to go to Cuba. So your mother and father arrived in Havana?
In Havana, yeah.
When?
In Havana.
When?
In 1920s.
1920s. And by the time that you're born, you have older siblings, you have...
Yes, I have 4 sisters and 1 brother.
Who are older than you?
Yeah. And I have the younger sister.
And a younger sister. So you and the younger sister were born in Cuba?
In Cuba.
The rest were born in Turkey?
In Turkey.
Now, did they speak Ladino, your parents?
Yeah, they spoke Latino, and I learned something from them.
Yeah.
They spoke, other than Ladino, they spoke something else.
Okay.
Huh?
Ladino and Spanish?
I speak Spanish.
No,
Turkish.
your parents, just a second. I really need everybody to be quiet. I'm sorry. Okay. So, your parents come to Havana. Does your father have a profession? Is he...
No, he was a salesman.
He was a salesman.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I'm just bringing this down here a little, like this. Just a little. Perfect, because it's very strong. Okay. So he was a salesman. Ladies, really, I need quiet, please. Thank you. So he was a salesman, so he was basically able to adjust.
She adjust to the country.
To the country, to the...
Yeah. So we grew up in Cuba and, until we left running away from Castro.
We'll get to that. What kind of house are you born in? Is it a religious home? Is it?
My mother was very religious. She was very kosher all the way.
And your father?
Has no choice.
He had no choice.
Now my father was religious too.
Did you guys keep Shabbat in the house?
Yeah.
You kept Shabbat, and what kind of do you go to a Jewish school, or do you go to a public school?
No, we went to a Jewish school.
What was it called? Do you know?
The Theodore Herzl.
Theodore Herzl, and it was in Havana, Cuba.
In Havana, Cuba.
How many kids are there? A lot?
A lot of kids, yes. It was a lot of community. It was a big community in Cuba, a Jewish community, Ashkenazi, Sephardi. So there were a lot of kids in the schools, and then we learned Hebrew, Spanish. Some learned Yiddish. Depends what you want to study, and we grow up like that in Jewish religion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And what kind of neighborhood do you grow up in? Do you grow up in a Jewish neighborhood, or is it
well,
mixed?
we were a lot of Jewish people, and we were together, almost together in Cuba. Everybody was close in the neighborhood, and we had a shul. We used to go there. Everybody used to get together there. The shul always was crowded, especially on Shabbat. And we used to, according to the laws, we used to be Jewish all the way.
Now, what is Cuba like in the 1930s when you're a young kid?
Was a very poor country, until the end of the war. Then after the war, it started becoming more and more business places, and it started growing up, and everybody was in good condition. But after came this guy, Castro came in, and he took away everything that we had.
Of course. And in your house, where you're growing up in, you have 4 older siblings, you and your younger sister.
Yeah.
6 children.
6.
6 children. Is your family assimilating into Cuban society?
No. We used to be apart. We never assimilate with the Cubans. We used to keep together the Jewish community.
Did you ever experience any anti-Semitism as a kid in Cuba?
It wasn't a big deal, the anti-Semitism.
It wasn't like in Russia or Poland?
No, nothing like that, no.
It was relaxed?
No, it was very calm, very low. There was no problem with that.
What did your father do in Cuba as a profession? What did he do?
He used to sell fabrics.
Okay.
And that's how he supported the family. Then my brother started working and he helped my father. And when I grew up and I was 16, I started working too. And we were all right. We were okay.
So economically, you guys are
on the poor side.
Lower middle class?
We were low.
Lower middle class.
Very low. And are there a lot of wealthy Jews in Cuba at the time?
Yeah, there was a lot of.
His wife's father.
There was, I think I was more than 30,000 or 40,000 Jewish in Cuba.
Wow. 30,000, 40,000 Jews. And was the community, there must have been a lot of different communities within Havana.
There was in Havana, in the whole country, there were a lot of Jewish people.
Yeah.
Scattered, but mostly.
But the most concentration was in Havana. And they all have, wherever they were, there was a shul.
There was always a shul.
Yeah.
Do you remember the name of your shul?
My shul was Teodoro Herzl.
No, that was the school.
There was a school and the shul.
The school and the shul together.
Yeah.
Eretz Israel
And
also.
what is the name of the neighborhood in Havana that you grew up in?
It was Old Havana. They call it Old Havana because there was a part Old Havana, New Havana, and we used to remain in the Old Havana. That was the concentration of the Jewish people.
Now, do you remember so you of course you have your bar mitzvah at this synagogue when you're 13. Do you remember the first time when you start to hear in the house or maybe in school about Palestine?
Well, it all started in 1947. I started here listening to the news, what was going on in Israel, and I was anxious to go there to fight for Israel. And it was very difficult in those times.
I know, but before 1947, I'm talking a little bit before, like when you're 10 years old, the second World War breaks out.
We used to hear from the Keren Kayemet,
okay,
what was going on in Israel, how was the kibbutz, how was the city, how they used to develop the country.
And does it sound exotic to you?
Yeah, of course, it excited me. I always wanted to go to Israel, always, all my life.
From your parents? From who? Where does this come from? Where did you get this from?
My father, rest in peace, he used to tell me that Israel is the land of the Jewish. I wish we could go all together there.
Okay.
But we couldn't do it. It was very difficult in those times. So the time went by. In 1947, that's when I started hearing the news about the English.
Wait, before that, I want to ask you a question. I'm trying to go.
Okay.
I'm trying to go chronologically. Do you belong to a youth movement in Havana, like a Jewish, like Maccabi or Beitar?
I used to belong to the Maccabi.
Okay, tell me about Maccabi in Havana.
Maccabi, it was we used to have Maccabi Junior, Maccabi, so we used to get together, and from the school we used to go all going out parties in the country, and we were sport people. We used to have a baseball team. All the Jewish people had a baseball team.
Yeah, you had a league, like a baseball league of all the Jewish.
Bnei Berith, Javne,
Maccabi,
Beitar.
Was there Beitar in Cuba?
Beitar, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. There was
So all the Jewish groups had their own baseball team, because in Cuba, baseball is religion.
So we used to have every Sunday we used to have games between the clubs,
The Jewish clubs.
the Jewish clubs, and we used to have fun, and we used to get along well, and it was very happy days.
Yeah, it was. What position did you play?
Right field.
Right field, okay. and tell me, so in Havana, in the 30s and 40s, there are a lot of Jewish youth movements. Maccabi, Shomer HaTzair,
Shomer HaTzair, גם כן.
yeah.
Yeah. Javne, it was a Javne.
Yavne.
Yeah.
Yavne. What else is there? Beitar.
Beitar, and there was another one.
Machanot Olim.
No. I forgot the name.
Some of them are socialists. Some of them are revisionist, like Jabotinsky, Beitar, opposite than socialist. Maccabi.
Yeah, but
Hapoel.
No, Hapoel. It was a Javne, Maccabi.
Los polacos.
Huh?
Los polacos, ¿cómo se llama?
No. Maccabi, Javne, Israeli Center. There was about 4 or 5 teams we used to.
And used to play. But did you, besides playing baseball, did you have like lectures? Did you learn Hebrew? Did you learn about the kibbutz? Did you learn about Balfour Declaration? Did you?
No, the ones that used to get together like a kibbutz was the Hashomer Hatzair.
Yeah, they were, yeah.
Hashomer Hatzair, but that was always revolutionary.
Revisionism. Against kibbutz, yes.
Revisionist.
But you belong to Maccabi.
Yeah.
Your father sent you to Maccabi, or you went there because?
My father used to belong to the Shevet Achim.
Shevet Achim. What
there was a club, association named Shevet Achim.
In Havana?
In Havana.
And it was like a guys' club or something like this?
It was a kind of like an association used to help. It was Bikur Holim. There was a lot of things going with the Shevet Achim, and that kept us all together. And it was a very, very simple life, but we're happy and in the Jewish way.
So life was, maybe your family wasn't very wealthy, but life was okay.
Yeah, life was.
You were not persecuted. You lived very. You played baseball. You went to school. You did.
We learned Hebrew.
You learned Hebrew. You went to Sunday school. No, you went to Jewish school all the time. So
yeah.
you and I'm just trying to think about how old you were when you were growing up. Do you remember hearing in the house or from friends about what is happening in Europe?
Oh yeah, all the time. We knew everything.
Really?
Yeah, there was in the news, in the radio, in the movies. They used to put up the film of what's going on in Israel, in Europe, in the concentration camps, how the Jews were treated, what Hitler did to all of them. And there was a few people that came running away from Europe.
There's a very famous episode.
The San Luis.
Do you remember this?
Yes.
Can you tell me?
It was in the Bay, in Havana Bay. They didn't let him come in. I don't know why. So they had to go back they came to the United States. They couldn't either, so they went back to Europe. And
when the St. Louis was sitting in the Havana Bay, you were like 10 years old.
More or less.
More or less. Do you remember this, or you just remember it?
No, I remember because I saw the ship. I saw the ship. I was in the piers and I saw the ship. It was the whole community came to see. The whole community and everybody got together to see if we couldn't bring him down from the ship, but it was impossible. The government didn't allow. They didn't allow them.
Do you know why? Were you down at the pier?
Yeah, we were in the piers looking into the bay where he was standing. The ship was standing there. I remember perfectly.
How did it make you feel?
Very sad. Everybody was crying.
And the Jewish community was trying. What was
trying? Yeah, it was trying all the way with the government talking and offering money. They didn't accept it.
There were 1,000 people on that ship.
Yeah.
And most of them were sent back to Europe and exterminated.
Yeah.
But you
it was
remember,
very sad.
You remember the St. Louis. You remember this episode?
Yeah, sure I remember. Everybody remembers San Luis. It's something that nobody can forget about that. Nobody can forget that.
Did this have an impact on you?
On everybody. Not only me, on everybody. It was very sad moments. Very sad. But there's nothing we could do.
Yeah.
They tried very hard, night and day, but...
How long was the boat in the harbor for? For a while, no?
I think it was about a week or something.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah, and then we started listening to the news about Europe, how the war was going on, and we heard about D-Day, and we were happy. I even tried.
But for you, the war was the radio.
The radio.
And the newsreels in the cinema.
In the cinema.
Right?
Right.
There was no TV then.
Of course.
No, there was no TV in that time.
Of course.
And we used to say, and I was step by step about the war.
You were following it.
Yeah, I was following it. Because I always wanted to go to Israel to fight, but I couldn't make it until 48.
So, when World War II ends, you're 16, 1945. You're born in 29.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but,
you're
about
16.
16
years old.
16.
16, 17, something like that. You're still in high school. Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you still in Maccabi? Are you still...
No.
Okay, so you...
No, that's already gone. I haven't been in any place in the United States.
Maccabi.
The Maccabi.
Maccabi youth movement in Havana.
No, in Havana, yes, all the time in the Maccabi. Then for 1947, we start making movements, see if we could go to Israel.
Who's we?
We, my friends, I gathered about 20 people.
You?
Yeah, and I spoke to a guy who died in the Altalena, Daniel Levy. He was in 4 years in medicine in the university. So I spoke to him. They say, let's do something about it.
How old are you?
I was 16, 17 in that time. So we got together and we went to the Betar. We spoke to the people that we...
Why Beitar? Why not...
because the Shomer HaTzair was...
communists.
The communists, terrible. They were... You belong to the Shomer? No.
Me, no.
They were terrible people.
I'm just asking why Beitar? Why do you go to the Beitar people in Havana? Why not Shomer HaTzair or...
Because we went to the Shomer HaTzair and the president told us he was sitting in a chair in his office and he said, in Israel, we don't need men, we need money, and more money. We don't need men.
Okay.
And we said, okay, it was Kaplan, by the guy. He passed away already a long time ago, Kaplan. And he said, that's what we need. So don't waste your time with us. So we went to the Betar, and they say, we'll do whatever we can. And there was 2 guys that said, we're gonna do some training.
Hachshara.
And there was a guy, a Jewish guy that had 2 sons that were in the military academy here, and they went back to Cuba when they graduate. He was teaching us how to use the Colt 45s or rifles.
Wait. So you go to this guy in Beitar in Havana,
yeah,
and you say, we want to join. You and 20 people?
Yeah.
Do you remember his name? Do you remember his name?
Sabetai Yahya, Elias Thatcher, Israel Bichachi, Alberto Formas, Daniel Levy, David Mitrani, Salomón Mitrani, Primitivo Ramirez, Jaime Goldberg, Isaac Barrocas, Rubén Bejar. That's all I can remember.
And you go to the guy in Beitar,
yeah,
in Cuba, in Havana.
They did what they could. Then came somebody from the Irgun, a young man called Yehuda, and he made a conference with us. He said, "You sure you want to go to Israel?" And we told him, "Yes, we want to go to Israel to fight." He said, I'll do my best. You hear from me.
Where's he from?
He was Israeli.
He was a Sabra.
From the Irgun. He was from the Irgun.
And he was in Cuba.
In Cuba.
Yuda, you remember the last name? No.
No,
Okay.
Yehuda, I don't remember.
Okay.
I
Okay.
don't.
Okay.
So he told us, you'll hear from me. Get ready. Most probably, you going. And we wait, and finally they said, you have all your passports. We're going to give you the tickets, and we'll tell you how the steps you have to do in order to get to Israel. So we went to Miami, seven, me and 6 more.
Okay, so wait a minute. You're 17 years old.
Yeah,
Did you finish? Have you finished high school yet?
yeah, finished.
You finished high school.
Yeah.
What do your parents think of this?
My father blessed me, say, I wish I could go too. Believe me.
So you had your father's blessing.
Yeah.
And before you went to Palestine, and before you went to Beitar in Palestine, Beitar in Havana, what is it that triggered, that made you say, I'm going to Palestine to fight? Was it something that specifically happened? Was it a bombing or an attack?
No,
Or-
I hear that the English people hanged 2 people. I heard how they abused from Israel to Israelis, and the English were on the side of the Arabs, and everything was against the Jewish. And I thought, after what happened in Europe, we gotta have a land, and Israel belonged to us. So we went. We were decided to go, and we went.
So your mother and father you have their blessing, and you actually, maybe even inside of you, you feel that you're fulfilling your father's.
Blessed, and he said,
Not
"I
only-
wish I could go too."
Your father, I'm sure, sees something in you that.
He was always thinking of Israel too, always.
So, you and 6 other people leave Havana to Miami
Miami,
by boat.
no, by plane.
By
we
plane.
went. We stopped in Miami.
Yeah.
Then we went to New York.
Okay. Now in New York.
In New York, they took us to the Empire State Building to stay there to wait for somebody to pick us up.
In a hotel.
You know, and
Empire State Building.
they took us to Brooklyn,
To Brooklyn.
to somebody's house,
Yeah.
and we stood about a week there. We got together, then start coming people from Canada, from New York, from Baltimore, from all over the United States. They came to that house. It was a huge house.
Do you remember where? Do you remember where it was in Brooklyn?
No, that I can't remember.
You can't remember. And,
No.
and so you're in this house in Brooklyn, big house, and slowly people are coming from Canada, from all over the state,
yeah.
and you're getting together.
Even from Australia.
Even from us. And what are you doing in this house? Are you guys preparing? Are you
No,
studying?
We were. They gave us instructions what to do, what not to do, how to behave in the airports. You are tourists. You're gonna visit Europe. You're gonna visit some parents that came from the Holocaust, etc., etc. So from New York, we flew to Paris. In the middle of the way, we had to stop in Ireland because one of the engines of the airplane was failing. So we stopped in Ireland for 8 hours, something like that. So we went to Paris. In Paris, they took us to the hotel. We stood there 3 days. Then we went by train to Marseille.
Marseille.
And in Marseille, we were in a camp that was from the Irgun. It was loaded with weapons, rifles, machine guns, everything. And the ship Altalena was in the pier. And then we started loading the ship.
You were loading the Altalena?
Yeah. all of us, everybody who went in the Altalena was loading the ship.
Now you know that already by this time the state of Israel has already been declared.
Yeah.
And the war is officially on, but after May 15th, 1948.
Yeah, but
This is June 48, right? Or
June,
end of May.
June 48.
No, when you're in Marseille.
In Marseille, in June.
Now tell me, when you're in Marseille, do you remember any of the names of the commanders of the Irgun who are telling you what to do? Or?
No, they didn't show up. They just the people that used to give instruction. We got to do this. We got to do that. We have to load the ship as fast as possible, so we can leave to Israel. Once after 3 days, they loaded the ship.
Wait a sec. Yeah. Yeah.
We sailed, and we stood in the sea. Supposed to be 3 days the most, but the captain said there's a lot of British ships blocking the area of Israel. So we went.
Wait a sec. You're in Marseille. It's June, and you're loading the ship.
Yes.
Altalena.
Altalena, yes.
Do you know that you're with Irgun?
Yes.
You understand?
Yeah.
You understand?
I
that
was with Irgun. Yeah, it was.
Did they make you swear with the Bible and the God?
No. They knew everybody was from the Irgun.
No, but are you officially in the Irgun now? Are you a member of the Irgun?
Yeah.
But to be a member of the Irgun, you have to take an oath.
They didn't give oath. I don't remember that.
No, you don't remember taking an oath?
I don't remember, no.
I spoke to many people who were in the Irgun. They put a Bible in their hand and a gun.
No.
Okay. So you're loading the ship in Marseille. What's on the ship? What kind of things are you loading?
We know all kind of weapons.
Tell me, what kind of weapons?
Rifles, machine guns, brain guns, Margema.
Margema, yeah, mortars.
A few tanks, half tanks, what the English...
Half tracks.
Half tracks.
Yep.
Half tracks. We have... what else we have? And I think we have a few guns.
Like machine
Totach.
Cannons. Cannons. You have cannons.
A few of them. No, not too many. But we have a lot of rifles, a lot of ammunition, and we have for the mortars, the pargas for Margema.
The shells.
Sure. We have, and we sell.
And while you're loading this boat with ammunition, aren't people coming or asking what's going on? Or
No, because I think they have an agreement with the French government, and then they didn't do nothing. They just let us do the things we have to do, and we finished loading the ship and we sailed up, and it took us a few days.
How many people are on the ship?
I think it was
Wait a minute. On the ship is also refugees from the Holocaust.
Yeah,
Tell me about this.
There were a lot of them, about 800 or 900 of them. In total, I think it was 1,200 people in the ship.
1,200.
Yeah.
Tell me about this is the first time that you're seeing people from the Holocaust.
Yes. It was very sad to see the way they look. They were skinny, hungry, they didn't trust nobody. They were afraid where they're going, what kind of treatment they was going to get. And Mefakete used to say, don't worry, you're going to be all right. We're going to Israel, we are going home, and you're going to be safe. So there's nothing you have to worry about. So they were calm, they went to the ship, and we all went to the ship and start sailing. And it took us a lot of time, a lot of days in the sea, because the English ships were already still around, and they were afraid to take us to Cyprus.
What flag did the Altalena have?
Israeli. What else? The Israeli. So finally, one morning we arrived in Faudem.
Kfar Vitkin.
Faudem. We started. People came out. The refugees from the camps. They went down. They came out of the ship. They start coming in small boats to carry out the weapons, and then that was until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then the Haganah came, start fighting with the Irgun inland. There were a few deaths, people killed.
Where are you?
We were in the ship.
Do you know at the time what is going on?
Yes, they told us there was a fight between Haganah and Irgun.
No, but even before the ship came to Kfar Vitkin, there was already negotiations going on. Did you know about this?
Menachem Begin was at the ship.
So the ship comes to Kfar Vitkin. The refugees.
They took a lot of weapons, a lot of ammunition. They took to land. And then they start fighting, and so we have to close the front of the ship because they were shooting at us too. It was very dangerous because we have a lot of weapons there, a lot of ammunition could explode. So we closed the front of the ship, and we start backing up from Faudem. And by the time we took to Tel Aviv, came 2 ships from the government. And they stopped telling us that we have to go out to sea, not to Tel Aviv, and we were still going to Tel Aviv. And they start shooting at us. They start shooting at us like we were the worst enemies. And Menachem Begin was telling by radio, stop shooting. We don't want a fight between Jewish. Stop shooting. Stop shooting. They never stop. So was the first and the only time we shoot against them.
Did you shoot?
Yes, we shoot. We gave the order because they didn't want to stop. So we shoot to this ship in this side, and I think we destroyed half of the ship, I think, and the other ship went away, but was following us from far away. So when we arrived at night in Tel Aviv, and the captain took the ship as close to land as he could with the ship, and we stood there all night watching. And Menachem Begin was on the radio all the time telling that this is not for a coup. That this 50% of the weapons are going to whoever is fighting in Jerusalem, that they're fighting with no weapons. 25 for the army, 25 for the Irgun. They didn't accept that. Then he changed, he said, we'll give you the 50% to you and 25 for the people in Jerusalem. They didn't accept either. Then by 10 o'clock in the morning, they start shooting to the ship like we were the worst enemy of the state of Israel. And they never stopped shooting all day long. We were like sitting ducks on the ship. We couldn't move. I was on the deck with machine guns. We were ready with machine guns. We never shot one shot to land, never. We have no orders. Menachem Begin said no shooting.
Where is Menachem Begin at this time?
He was on the ship. I don't know how he came out of the ship. I don't know. I'll never know. They knew Menachem Begin was in the ship. They want to kill him. And there was a very, very terrific day. Very, very, very bad day. I was with Daniel Levy. I was here, and Alberto Formas was there. We were three together. We have only 6 sandbags to protect us. And there was bullets all over. I'm shaking. Then they were shooting this way. Let me explain. The ship was facing like this,
Yeah.
like this. I was in this side, and all the fighting was coming to here. And all the bullets that ricocheted was falling in our legs. We have every leg, all the legs with the backs of the bullet. So somebody started shooting from this side, and me and Daniel lift up the head to see who's shooting from, where they shooting. That's when he got a straight bullet in the helmet, straight to the head, and he died instantly. And I got a bullet, the bullet went, took me down, pulled me down to the floor. I was lucky that day. It wasn't my day. And he fell down, and I started crying. Medics, medics, medics. He said, nobody can go because so many bullets are around. It was terrible, terrible. It was
Daniel Levy?
Daniel Levy fell.
He died.
He died.
And he was your friend from Havana. He came with you.
Yeah. He came with me.
He died in his arms.
And there was Daniel Mitrani. He was in the back of the ship. He got a bullet. I didn't know. He got a bullet in the neck. He was bleeding. And then came this guy. Don't remember his name. He put with a white flag. He went in the boat to shore. Talked to the, I think it was Isaac Rabin. He spoke to Isaac Rabin that we have a lot of wounded people. They bleeding. Let us take on us to land to take care of them because they're gonna die. He said, okay, we'll make an afuga, go to the ship, bring down the wounded. And as soon as he went back to the ship, they start shooting again. They never gave a fuga, never. They never made it through. And they kept shooting at the ship. Then around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, they start shooting with a cannon. The first round fell on one side, the other on one side. The third one fell on deck. Instead of exploding up, exploded down, just on top of the ammunition. And that's when the first explosion occurred. It was, I don't know how the ship didn't blow up completely. I don't know that. I can't imagine why they blew up the whole thing. Then came another round from the cannon. The second one hit at the same place, and there was a terrible explosion that the whole ship shaken, and we were on deck. It was about 20 feet from the explosion. So then my friend, I told my friend that was alive with me, said, let's get out of here, we're gonna die. He said, I don't move from here until they say abandon ship. I said, they say already abandon ship. So we ran to the back, and they were shooting. They never stopped shooting, never stopped shooting. So we put on lifesavers, and we were on the other side. From here, we went to the back. Then we went to the other side.
Where did the cannon hit? In the middle, no?
Hit here, twice here. Close. I was here. The explosion was here. The second fell in the same place. Why, I don't know, because
and then you went to the back.
Back, and we went to the other side. There was a ladder, the rope ladder. As we were coming down to the water, they start shooting at us. We had to jump from the ship all the way, and there was a lot of people swimming. There was a lot of people from Israel with surfing boards trying to save people.
Civilians.
They killed a few of them in the water, and they were shooting us in the water. We had to go down with a lifesaver. We went down all the way down, and fortunately, I fell. When I went to land, I arrived in land. I fell in the Irgun side, and right away they took me to a bus. They said, "You're safe here. Don't worry." I was shaking, and me and my friend were shaking. Said, We were 7. We know that one died. What about the other ones? I didn't know the other one was killed too. Yeah, with a bullet in the neck. And we started, they gave us cigarettes. We were shaking. I'm shaking now, remembering that. It was shaking. We started smoking one after the other, one cigarette after the other. We were shaking it. They gave us blankets. We were freezing. Even was June. It was freezing. It was terrible day. And we could see still the ship blowing up and the black smoke, and the people would still shooting. They start shooting at 10 o'clock in the morning till 7 in the afternoon.
In the evening.
In the evening. Never stopped. It was a terrible day. It's something that is exactly the way it happens that I'm telling you. No more, no less. It was terrible day, terrible day. I'll never forget that day. Never. As long as I live, I'll never forget that day. It was such a shita, what they call shita. Is the right word, shita?
What does that mean? Shita? Massacre.
Massacre. It was a massacre because they say they only die 8 people. No, they killed more than 8 people. More. I could say even 40 or 50 people died there. And the ones that blew up, they never appeared. So it was terrible. And then when Isaac Rabin said that they were surrounded by the Irgun, that the Irgun was shooting at them, they had to protect themselves. It was not true. The Irgun never shoot anybody. And we never shot one shot from the ship to land. We could destroy Tel Aviv. If we have orders, we could destroy Tel Aviv, but there was no the way Menachem Begin wanted.
Was he on the ship with you guys? He got on. Menachem Begin got on the ship in Kfar Vitkin, correct?
Yeah.
And then he came with you guys to Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv.
Between Kfar Vitkin and Tel Aviv, did you see him? Did you?
Yeah. He shook our hands to everybody. He said, everything's going to be all right. Don't worry. Everything was going to be all right. How he came out the ship, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. And I'll never know.
And you lost your very good friend Daniel.
Yeah. He died in my hands, mostly in my hands. He got the direct shot and went through the helmet. Instantly.
Instantly, he was dead. And you're 7. How old are you?
18.
18. And he's a doctor, right? He was
gonna be a doctor.
Yeah. And how do you continue after this? How do you inside of you?
Well, let me tell you, a lot of the people, the Americans that went with us, most of them came back to the States. There was one, Al Russell, his name I remember, Al Russell. He was in the Second World War, he was a warrior guy. He liked wars. So he stood in Israel with us. After that, they put us in the bus. They took us to a Mahane, to a Irgun Mahane. We stood there about a week. Then after that came an order from Menachem Begin that everybody has to join the army. Mm-hmm. And we joined the army.
You joined the same army that shot on you?
Yeah.
Wasn't that difficult for you?
It was.
Wasn't that something?
Yeah, it was difficult, but as I told before, I came to fight for Israel.
Thank you.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay,
Make yourself at home.
thank you.
So we have to stay there. They say we came to fight. Why should we go back?
Okay, I want to just get something clear. After this traumatic experience with the Altalena, you swim out of the water, and people from the Irgun get you, and they
Yeah.
take you to safety. Where do they take you?
To a camp. They took me to a camp. We stood there for
1 week.
about a week.
In this week,
We find out.
I want to know about what's happening with you, in your mind, in this week after you. This is how you've been.
I was afraid myself. I was afraid. I said, "What if this is the welcome?"
Excuse me. Did it?
Today,
Oh,
Yeah,
if this is the welcome, what's going to happen later?
exactly. That's what I'm asking.
Yes, very-
How
So first of all, me and my friend, the first thought was, see, the other guys were still alive, our friends. So one by one appeared, and we got 5. We were 5.
are you talking about the Cuban guys?
Yeah.
You-
So
you
we
were
got
7. You
together.
were 7.
Yeah.
2 died.
To die. So we fight. They took the 5 of us. They took to a camp, and they say, "Relax, nothing's going to happen here. You're going to be all right, and we'll see what's going to happen. We'll see what's going on. What we're going to do, we have to wait." So we wait, and then we got the orders that we have to join the army. Voluntarily. If you want to go back to Cuba or the United States, you can go back. It's your choice. So we chose to stay and
Really?
join the army.
Why? Why didn't you get out of there after this?
Because we went to Israel to fight for the land. There was not many people in Israel in that time.
I understand, but the circumstances have changed, and you have just been.
We overcame those circumstances, and we say, let's keep going on and see what happened. So we joined the army.
Where?
And they took us to Mahane Yonah.
Okay.
You know Mahane Yonah? With the 2 Migdal Mayim. So we had training there. And the first thing, they took us to, I don't know, we used to call it Mishlat before, positions in front of Tulkarem against the Jordan. The Jordan used to take there. So we had the experience, shooting experience from the ship, but no fighting against soldiers. So one night, the Jordan wanted to make an attack to the camp. We repelled them, and they never came back again. Then they start shooting with the cannons to the camp, and all the pargas used to fall in the water. Lucky us, because they were trying to shoot to the Migdal mine, and from there they took us to the south. We went to Hatzor.
What unit are you in? Do you remember?
Unit.
What unit are you in the army?
My
Givati? Are you in?
No, it was חטיבה 3, גדוד 35, פלוגה מסייעת.
Perfect. Wow. Say no more. I understand it completely. No. So Hativa Shalosh, that is it's not
Alexandroni.
Alexandroni.
So in the camp, my friend was having training. I don't know why they called me.
What did they train you to do?
I'm going to explain. I don't know why they picked me up with the sergeants to give me training with there was a machine gun called Biza.
Okay.
So they trained me with the sergeants how to use the machine gun. It was a new one, Czech one.
Yeah, the Czech ammunition has arrived already from Czechoslovakia.
Yeah.
A Bren?
It was
A Bren machine gun?
yeah, it was anti-aircraft, anti-tank, everything.
So they teach you how to do this gun. It's like you sit.
No, it had two handles.
Yeah.
Two handles and a
It's makach.
a
It's
trigger.
like a long barrel, bullets like this.
No,
No, okay.
no. It was a regular machine gun, but was a very strong one, very strong.
So you are doing this machine gun,
Yeah.
and so you guys are in the south, probably down in Fallujah, or
We used to have, yeah.
so now you're on the Egyptian front.
We went to the Egyptian front and we stood there until the Afuga came
In 49.
in 49, and I was no. This is the machine gun
Where are you?
here.
Hold on. Can you hold this for me and explain to me what this is? Tell me. Where are you in this picture? That's you. And that's the machine gun that you were using. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And this is probably in Fallujah. This is
Fallujah. Yeah, this was. That's the
Is that you also?
yeah. That's they call it.
This is the machine gun though. This is
Yeah, Espando machine gun, but they used to call it.
Look at you. You look like Rambo, with the bullets like this.
No, that was the Mahane.
Okay, I'm gonna look at this in a sec. We're gonna look at this.
Which
in a
one
sec.
is that?
This is
No, there's more one.
Shana Tova.
Oh yeah, that was.
Wow, look at these pictures. These are great. And so you're down in Fallujah, and the Afuga happens. The ceasefire happens.
When the ceasefire came, they supposed to leave Fallujah.
Wait a sec. Okay, so yeah, just put it all here. The ceasefire happens in 1948.
1948. No.
49.
49.
Sorry.
And then I was Taspis.
That's Pitan.
Yeah.
Like a looper.
Taspis.
Taspit is like
Taspis.
like a
Yeah. I supposed to count how many trucks, how many ambulance, how many.
Egyptians.
The Egyptian was taken out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Taken out. It took about a week or 2 weeks to clean up Fallujah. Then they took us to, where was that? They put somebody there and they took us out. They took to Jam Kinneret.
To the Kinneret, yeah.
A small town, I forgot the name of the town.
Tveria, Bet Shean, kibbutz.
No.
Is it a kibbutz?
A kibbutz,
Ginosar.
Shoshan, Susita.
Susita. Okay, that's up in the Galilee, above the Kinneret.
Yeah. We were at Jat Susita. They gave us a week Hofish. And then we visited Susita, we visited all the Tiberias, we took a tour, and then they took us back to the camp, and they supposed to discharge us little by little. And they used to tell everybody, if you stay in the army, you get the Adarga Samal.
Sergeant.
And I say, but speak Bedai.
Really, yeah? So you get discharged from the army?
Yeah.
Now, this whole time, are you in contact with your family in Cuba? Or you have any
No,
communication
I didn't
with
have
them?
time.
Nothing.
No. I didn't have time for that.
Who is Mordechai Maya when he gets out of the army in your mind? You're different.
בן אדם פשוט כמו כולם.
Yeah?
התחלתי לעבוד, and I was working all the time.
So you get discharged from the army,
Yeah.
and
They give me שיקום
where?
in פרדס כץ.
Pardes Katz, okay?
Me, my friend, and 4 other men.
Of the Cubans. You're
No. One was from Morocco, the other was from Spain.
Now, are you considered Machal?
Yeah,
You're considered Machal.
Yeah.
You're a you belong to Machal.
yeah.
Mitnadvei chutz la'aretz.
Minadeb.
Machal is it's
Volunteer.
volunteers from abroad. So you're Machal.
Yeah,
So you go to Pardes Katz.
yes. And
It's 1949.
yeah,
And what do you do?
I start working in Osem.
Osem, in the factory.
Yeah, I worked there for a month. So I think they told me we have to give chance to another people to work. So you have to go. We have to let you go. Then I start working Elite.
Elite, yeah, sure.
I work about a month. Then after a month, they say that we have to give chance to another people. We have to let it go. And I found in construction, Kiryat Shmuel, Al-Jad, Bnei Barak.
Yad Neblach, yeah, Givat, yeah, of course.
And so I worked there for 2 or 3 months, building houses. When we finished building houses, they told me that they would call me again because I worked very good, blah, blah, blah. So I work, then I decided that I want to sell ice. In those times there was fish there. So they told me, we have already people that sell ice. You have to join. We can't let you. We can't give you permission to sell ice because there's organization that makes that sell the ice. I said I have my own truck and I want to do that. They said no, we can't let you do that. So I tried to make bricks. They said no, we have no mallet for you. We need it for constructions that we get.
Why are you always getting the door slammed? Is it because
they say there's too many people looking for jobs. They give me a chance to me, they gave a chance to another, and that's the way it was.
It was very difficult times. No?
It was very hard times, and but I managed to have work all the time.
So
I worked by Namal.
In the Namal in Tel Aviv? Okay.
2 weeks. Then I found another job making bricks. And it was a lot of many jobs that I don't recall now.
No, you don't recall. And but you're always living in Pardes Katz.
Yeah. That's the only house I have.
Sure. What can you tell me about Israel in the first year or two of its existence?
Well, it was very hard to make a living, but the country was progressing little by little. It was progressing until now. Now it's a full country. But at the beginning was very hard to.
Why did you go back to Cuba, and when? When did you leave Israel?
I left Israel, I think it was May 1951, May or April.
Okay.
Because in a letter, my brother told me that my father was very sick. He wanted to see me. So I went back. Otherwise, I wouldn't leave Israel.
Really? You would have stayed.
Yeah. And I went back to Cuba.
In 1951.
I'm lucky. That's how it is.
Looking for her.
We stayed in Israel. We'll never meet.
So Mordechai, I want to ask you. When and I want to just go back to the Altalena a little bit and to your role in fighting in the army. You know, you lived, witnessed, experienced one of the most tragic events in modern day Jewish history, the Altalena. You were on the ship. Your two friends died. You were shot at. You were like, how does this event influence and impact you as a person?
Well, it impacted me strongly that David Ben-Gurion and Isaac Rabin made a big mistake that don't supposed to happen, because they could make an agreement, like Menachem Begin said, let's talk and see what happens, because this is going to be a very catastrophic thing for the state of Israel. It's going to be a shame. They didn't want to listen to him. They didn't want to listen to him, and I said, well, I figured out, I don't want to say it to me, they were murderers.
It's fine. You can say whatever. You have the right. The reason I'm asking you is because you have the right to say whatever you want to say.
To me, they were murderers. They murdered a lot of Jewish people. They shouldn't do that. And there was always a way to arrange something.
To avoid bloodshed.
To
avoid bloodshed. And you feel that they didn't.
Yeah. And they were, to me, they were, and even I have an experience that once I wanted to go on the ship to see if I find the body of my friend, and there was a guy on guard with a rifle. When I went up to deck, they said, "You go back now or I'll shoot you."
This is after the ship went.
Yeah, after about weeks later.
You went to go look for Daniel's body.
Yeah, I wanted. They said, "I'll shoot you. You don't go away from here." They say, whatever happened here is going to happen to you. Like hate, something I hate, I don't understand.
But you have these strong feelings, but you decided to stay. You decided to go into the army. You decided to join the army that was shooting at you.
Yeah, but I have no choice. I went to Israel to fight for it, and I want to do something.
What was your relationship? Now, I want to go forward a few years. You moved back to Havana in 1951. In 1953, Menachem Begin came to Havana. Can you tell me about this?
In reality, I don't remember why he came to Cuba exactly. And he was looking for us to say to you my people from the Altalena, I want you to be my bodyguards, stay with me all the time that I'm in Cuba. So we went all the way, at every place he used to go, we used to be with him.
How long was he there for?
I think it was about a week something.
And so you got to know him and
yeah.
What kind of person was he?
I think he was the most adorable person I ever saw. He was a very good man, very good man. He has no bad sentiment to nobody. He always said, Israel, we all Jewish, so we have to be together, and we have to look forward to the future of the country, and that's what we're going to do. And
when he came to Cuba in 1952, three, did you talk to him about the Altalena? Did he remember you?
Yeah, sure. Of course, he remember when he was in the ship, he shake our hands. He said, we shook hands in the ship. Say, yes, Menachem, yes, we did. He remember he shake my hand. He said, you did a good job. He said, I'm proud of all of you. But how about the people that failed in that ship? He said, they're going to be remembered for always. And there was, when the Afua came, I don't remember what camp, there was a wall with the people that fell in Fallujah and the people that still alive that were in the front line with courage. And the 5 Cubans, the first names in the list. And I don't remember what camp was that.
Was it in the south?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in the south?
Yeah.
Now, when you're in the... so was that the last time that you met Begin?
Yeah.
That was the last time you saw him?
Yeah, in Cuba.
In Cuba.
So I went back to visit Israel in 1999. And that's the last time I was there.
Yeah, he had already passed away, Menachem Begin.
Yeah,
he was.
But I went to his grave.
In the Mount of Olives. Yeah. When you were fighting in the Israeli army, did they give you, excuse my English, did they give you any shit because you were in the Altalena? Was there any discrimination?
No.
No discrimination?
No, I didn't feel nothing, no. No. That's the truth. I never felt the discrimination. It was like everybody else, like every other soldier. We are together here, we are brothers here. And we have to go along. We can't stop life. We have to go, keep on living.
Yes, absolutely. And the battles that you were in, we talked about, was in Tulkarem with the Jordanian with the Legion.
Yeah, there was it was not big deal.
Yeah, but Fallujah.
We made in December 28, 1948. There was the last attack. We didn't have weapons, enough weapons to attack them. They had all the English equipment.
Sure.
There were 45 in there. It was very hard for everybody. We didn't have weapons. That's the weapons we have. This machine gun, a few. You know what we did once? There was a big tube somewhere. We put it with camouflage like it was a gun, a cannon. And we put 2 6-inch Margama on the side, and we shoot at the same time.
So it make a lot of noise.
It make a lot of noise when it fell. They thought we have guns too, but we didn't have enough weapons to fight against them in that moment, because when you're surrounded and you have the weapons, you are a terrific fighter. You're fighting for your life. So we went with the machine guns. We have 3 machine guns of this in a jeep, ready to help the people. The people that were advancing to the doors, they went in, but they were trapped there. They were killed. Nobody came out. It was a disaster for them. It fell a lot of people. A lot of soldiers fell down in Fallujah. A lot of soldiers, wounded, dead, disappeared. There was the training for the machine gun. Everybody saw a sergeant.
Are you in this picture?
Yeah.
That's you?
Yeah.
That's you, huh? Wow. Let's have a look. Hold on. Very nice. We'll take a picture of it after. Wow.
And this is the American soldier, the warrior.
What was his name?
Al Rosov.
Al?
Rosov. He was in the Second World War, then went to Israel, then went to Korea.
Korea.
These all were sergeants. With a
You were a sergeant or a corporal?
No, nothing.
Nothing.
Parachute. But I was with it.
Nice. Mordechai, so you moved back to Cuba, you go back to Cuba, and you lived there until 1961, is that correct?
1960.
Until Fidel Castro comes.
Yeah.
And what did you do in Cuba between 1951 until 60? Where did you get married?
I got married in 1954.
Yeah.
I have children, 3 children. Then I was working, her father used to have a factory making salami, mortadella, all this hazarai. And it was a very good. It was a very good factory.
And then Fidel.
All of a sudden...
Did all of the Jews leave Cuba then?
Most of them.
Most of them.
Yeah. If you remain, a few of them remained there. They didn't want to come out because they were from Russia. They were communists, so they stayed communists.
Perfect. It was a match in heaven with Fidel, something like this. Correct?
Yeah.
Is there anything that that we didn't talk about? Is there anything that you think that is missing from what we...
Well, I'll tell you, when we arrived, one of my friends had in Cuba a cousin that has a sister in Israel. And when we went there, he asked the people, do you know by any chance Eliyahu Falcon? So a guy said, he's my neighbor. Are you related to him? Say, yes. He said, yes, I'm his cousin. He said, I'll take you there. So this guy took all of us. He fed us. The first Pesach we...
After Altalena?
Yeah. He was from the Lehi. And so he took us in the house. He fed us. He said, this is your house. Whenever you want to come, you're welcome.
In Tel Aviv?
In Tel Aviv. Shehonah HaTikva.
Shonat HaTikva, of course.
And we have that, he was... And I have an uncle. I have an uncle in Petah Tikva. His name was, he died already, David Maya. He used to have a factory pepper hummus in Petah Tikva. So I worked with him too. It was very hard work. Very hard work.
When you look back at your times, how do you explain to yourself what you did in 1948?
That I did what I wanted to do, to go to Israel. That was my object, to be in Israel, because always since I was a little kid, I always say in a Hebrew school, I always used to read everything from Israel. How they start the kibbutz, the moshav, the city.
And then you finally get there and they're shooting at you.
Well, lo היה לי מזל.
היה לך מזל. You're alive.
Yeah. But
Do you, do you talk about the Altalena a lot? Do you tell people? Do you ever find yourself?
no, not too much.
Not too much.
No. It's a very sad day. I don't like to remember too much. So then we took the, I don't know if you know, there was a big burial in Tel Aviv for the people who died in Altalena to be buried in Nachlat Yitzhak.
No, tell me about it.
Well, there was a huge, a lot of people, and we were carrying the remains
Of the bodies.
of the bodies, and we buried them in Nachlat Yitzhak. And now, I think they fixed for every soldier, they put
You buried them?
yeah, one, the remains because they got burned.
Yeah.
And we find it because a ring, he had a ring,
Daniel?
yeah.
No, but Daniel was burnt, or he was shot in the
He
head?
was shot in the head,
But then the ship caught fire.
got on fire, everything was on fire.
Did you have to identify him?
Yeah, we identified it, both of them.
Both of them. It was. Please remind me their names. Daniel
Daniel Levy
Levy
and David Mitrani.
Mitrani. David Mitrani, and they came with you from Cuba.
Yeah, that's in the over here.
Yeah.
The
Well,
name,
look at that. I know this monument. Absolutely, I've seen it many times.
the name is there. The name.
Sure, and now Israel is celebrating its 70th anniversary. How
And-
does this make you feel?
Well, let me tell you, I'm proud that I marched with the army in the first Yom Ha'atzmaut.
Oh, did you?
Yeah,
In the first parade
the first
Yeah?
parade. Yes, me and my friends.
in Tel Aviv or in Jerusalem?
Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv.
Tel Aviv.
So you were in the first IDF Independence March.
I'm proud of that.
Probably that was May 49, right?
May 49.
So I thank you very much. Now I'm going to take some of these photographs. I'm going to stop the camera for a second. Is there anything else you would like? Is there anything else?
What can I say? I enjoy every day, every moment that I was in Israel. I enjoy it until now. I still enjoy it.
I want you to show me the letter that you got. It's right here. Hold on. If you can show me the envelope and the letter, and you can read it to me.
This letter I received from Benjamin Netanyahu, Mazel Tov to Mr. Mordechai Maya on the occasion of your 89th birthday, January 12, 2018.
Are you guys good friends or something, or?
No, it was, I don't know.
I'll take a picture.
Were you friends with him?
No.
Did you ever meet him?
No,
Excuse
no,
me?
no.
Have you ever met him?
No,
His daughter, he has an older daughter
my
from
granddaughter.
another marriage.
Yeah, well, we know that.
No, let me explain.
Hold on, wait a sec.
Okay.
Just in a sec. How did you feel when you got this?
Very happy. Very,
We're so excited.
very happy.
Okay, did you ever tell him?
Wait a sec.
You're filming?
Very happy, especially with the signature of Netanyahu. It was a very good surprise to me, and I'm very proud of it.
Well, how do we say in Hebrew? Mazal tov.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. Okay, I am going to stop.